Singapore, he went to Malaysia, he went to Brunei, and he started all over again. Now he had no money. He had no money. But what did he do? He had the courage. He was proactive. He went out there to look for new investors. He went out there to borrow money from his friends. He started all over again. And 10 years later, at the age of 82 years old, what happened? He made back all his money. And he became a millionaire once again. So what's the lesson I want to share is this? Then every time I read this article, I get very inspired myself. Because it reminds me that I should never ever give myself excuses. When I think I'm too old, hey, there are people older than me. When I think that I got no money, there are people who are worse than me. Right? But it is not our event. It is how we respond. That is what makes the difference. How many of you here think that you are lucky? You are lucky. Okay? Lucky, you are lucky. How many of you think you are not lucky? Okay, interesting. How many of you think that no matter how unlucky you are, there are other people who are more unlucky than you? There are other people who are more unlucky than you. If you think you're unlucky, there are people who are worse. And some of these people could be even more successful. Is that possible? Is that possible? Yes, how they choose to respond. Okay? How many of you feel that right now, when something bad happens to you, you respond in a way that makes you feel bad, that makes you feel lousy and you feel like giving up? Alright? How many of you want to learn how to control your response? You want to learn how to control the way you respond? Great. Let me teach you a formula. And this formula is on page page 8. Page 8. Okay, go to page 8. And on page 8, now I'll need the camera, I need the slides from now on. Just focus on the slides. Okay. On page 8, you will see something like this. On page 8, right? You see, whenever something happens to us, we must learn to control our response. Because it is how we respond that will affect how we feel, what we do, and the outcome that we get. So, how do we respond? Let's learn how we respond. You see, whenever something happens to us, we always respond in 3 ways. 3 ways. How many ways? 3 ways. The first way that we respond is we always ask ourselves this question. We always ask ourselves, what do I focus on? You see, as human beings, we always talk to ourselves. As human beings, we always talk to ourselves in our mind, right? And what we say to ourselves affects our focus. So the first thing is, what do I focus on? So some people, when bad things happen to them, what do they focus on? They focus on this question. They ask themselves, why did this happen? Why did this happen to me? Right? And some people, they focus on this question. Who's to blame? Whose fault is it? And some people ask themselves this question. What have I lost? What have I lost? So imagine that man who was 72 years old, right? Mr. Lim. When he went bankrupt, when he lost all his money, imagine if every day he kept thinking, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? Will he get an answer? No. If he keep asking, why did this happen to me? He will never find an answer. Imagine if he keep thinking, who's to blame? Who's to blame? Whose fault is it? The recession's fault. My competitor's fault. And if every day he focuses on, what have I lost? I lost all my money. I lost all my money. How will he feel? He'll feel negative, right? he'll feel lousy. And probably what will happen? He will give up. Now, people who succeed, why? It's because they don't focus on the problem. They don't focus on what they lost. You know what they focus on? People who succeed, they focus on this question: what can I learn? That's the most important question. They keep thinking, what can I learn? Can we say this together? We say, what can I learn? What can I learn, right? Now, your brain is very interesting. When you ask your brain a question, your brain will find an answer. When you ask your brain a question, your brain will find an answer. Your brain is like Google. You know Google? Your brain is like Google. If you ask your brain, why am I stupid? Your brain will tell you all the reasons why you're stupid. If you ask your brain, how can I be better? Your brain will find ways to be better. You must control what you say to yourself. So if you ask yourself, what can I learn? What can I learn? What can I learn? You know what? You will learn something. So that man, Mr. Lim, he asked himself, what can I learn? What can I learn? And you know what he learned? He learned that his business must keep improving. His business must keep changing. All competitors will take it away. That's what he learned. And he focused on the next question, which is, what do I have? You see, losers always focus on what they don't have, and they feel lousy. I don't have money, I don't have time, I don't have this, I don't have that. Winners always focus on what they have. So that man, Mr. Lim, he focused, what do I have? What do I have? He doesn't have money, but what does he have? He has mindset. Yes, he has got his mindset. He's got his experience. He's got his health. He's got his friends, right? And when he starts to focus on what he has, he begins to feel motivated. You gotta focus on what you have. And the final thing, he did not focus on what he lost. He focused on, how can I turn this around? How can I make the money back? How can I make the money back? So in other words, don't focus on the problem, focus on the solution. And when he begins to focus on it, he gets motivated. So the first thing is, focus on what you can learn, focus on what you have, and focus on how you can turn it around. The second way we respond is we ask ourselves this question: what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? You see, the interesting thing is this: the same thing can happen to two people, but it means different things to them. Okay, let's imagine one day you are walking down the road. Okay? Walking down the road. And suddenly a tree fell, okay? And it missed you just by 1 second. So if you are too late, you die. But the tree fell and you did not die. You were saved by 1 second. Now if that happens to you, how do you feel? Okay, how many of you would feel lucky, like, wow, I'm so lucky, and you will go to the casino and gamble? Okay, how many of you would say, no, this is not luck, it's because God saved me, it's because I'm not meant to die, it's because I'm meant for greater things, and God helped me to be saved, so I can be making a difference in the world. And you feel inspired, and you go and make a difference. True? So, different people, they've got different meaning, right? I'll give you an example. It's like, for example, let's imagine you're married for 10 years. And one day, your wife or husband says to you, I'm going to leave you. I don't want you. Goodbye. What's the meaning? Some people say, oh my God, my wife leave me. It means no one will love me anymore. It means I'll be lonely the rest of my life. It means I'm useless, right? But some people, if the wife leaves them, they say, good, good, good. I find better life. I find a better wife or better husband who loves me even more. It's a blessing, right? So is it good or bad? It depends on the meaning that you give to it. What is the meaning? So some people, when things happen to them, they see it as a curse. they see it as bad luck. But some people, they say it's not bad luck. It is a blessing in disguise. It's a blessing in disguise. Some people, when bad things happen to them, they think bad luck. But some people think it's not, it's a test. I'm being tested. Life is testing me. Or they believe God is testing me, if they believe in God. Okay? Some people, they see things as a loss. Other people, they see it as an opportunity. So what is the meaning you give? Losers always see things as a loss. Winners see things as an opportunity. What is the meaning you give? The third way we respond is we ask ourselves this question. What am I going to do? Can we say this together? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Can we say this? Ready? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Okay. So what do some people do? Some people, when bad things happen to them, they do nothing. Oops. Some people, they do nothing. Right? They just complain. But some people, when bad things happen to them, they will take action. But they take destructive action. They take negative action. They say, my wife leaves me, I will kill her. I'll kill her lover. Okay. But some people, they'll take creative action. They say, my wife leaves me, never mind, go. I find a better one. What is the action we take? True? So, for Mr. Lim, who is 72 years old, when he went bankrupt, what is the meaning he gave? He said, it is a test. It is a test, and he started to take new action. Let me show you one last thing, okay, before we take our lunch break in a while. Show you one last thing. So once again, let me ask you a question once again. How many of you think you are lucky? Who thinks you are lucky? Okay, more hands up. Who thinks you are not lucky? Right, again. No matter how unlucky you think you are, there are people who have got less than you. I'd like to show you another story of another man who has inspired me a lot as well. And this man, his name is Nick Vujicic. How many of you have heard of Nick Vujicic? Who's heard of Nick Vujicic? Who's not heard of Nick Vujicic? Who has not heard of this guy? Okay? Now this guy, he's an Australian. Yeah? And if you think that you have a lot of bad luck, this guy is worse. Because what happened was, when he was born, can I have the video here? When he was born, can I have the video over here? Yeah, video. Okay. When he was born with no arms and no legs. He's got no arms and no legs. And he's only got one foot with two toes. Right? Now, let me ask you this. If you were born this way, would you think you're lucky? Probably not, right? And he was born this way. And what happened was, the day he was born, and the nurses delivered him, the moment they saw him as a baby, they started crying. Can you imagine? A baby born with no arms and no legs? Yeah? And then the father who saw his firstborn son being born, he was so shocked. It was not a happy day. He ran out of the hospital and he threw up. And that was the day that he was born. Imagine the day you are born, your parents are not happy. Your parents are sad. It's a tragedy. But after he was born, the doctors told the parents, they said, your son has got no arms and no legs. Next time he'll never be able to stand. He'll never be able to walk. He'll never be able to go to school. He'll never be able to get a job. He has got no future. He's got no future. But after the parents accepted the fact, they say, you know what? He's still our son. We will still bring him up and love him like everyone else. And so when he was growing up, his parents encouraged him a lot. Right? They taught him to believe in himself. But was it easy for him? It was not easy. Imagine when he was in school, he had no friends. People looked at him and went, They thought he was a freak. Right? They threw things at him, they laughed at him. And at the age of 9 years old, he thought of only one thing. He thought of killing himself. Because he thought, what's the point of living? What's the point of having a life? I've got no future, nobody will ever love me, nobody will ever marry me, why do I live? And one day, the mother went up to him, and the mother said, Nick, you're born without arms and without legs. Is it your fault? Is it his fault? No, same thing. If you are born poor, it is not your fault, right? If you're born rich, it's also not your fault. But the mom said, Nick, you have a what? You have a what? Choice. Can we say this together? Everyone say choice. You have a choice. Thank you. You have a choice. What's the choice? Can I go back to my slides? Go back to my slides. He said, you have a choice of what you want to focus on. Or what you want to focus on. You see, at first, Nick, what did he focus on? In the past, he kept focusing on, why did this happen to me? Why this happened to me? And he focused on, who's to blame? Whose fault? God's fault. Make me like that. And he focused on what he lost. He said, I've got no arms, I've got no legs. Think about it. If you focus on the first three things, how will you feel? You feel like giving up, you feel negative, right? But the mom taught him, change your focus. Change your focus. And he began to focus on, instead, what can I learn from this? He asked her, what can I learn? And he found an answer. Remember Google? When he asked himself, what can I learn? He realized, you know what I can learn? I can learn how to do things without arms and legs. I can learn to do things without arms and legs. And he began to focus on, what do I have? He stopped focusing on what he doesn't have. He focused on what do I have. And you know what he has? He said, I can talk. I can speak. It's a gift. I can see. There are people who are born blind. It's a gift. I can think. It's a gift. And when he began to focus on what he has, he began to get the confidence, the motivation. And he focused on, how can I turn this around? How can I turn the problem into an opportunity? But what's the most important thing? He changed the meaning. He changed the meaning. He changed the meaning. At first, when he's born this way, you know what he says? He says, it means I'm worse than other people. It means I got bad luck. It means I'm disabled. It means I'm just unlucky. But after that, he changed the meaning. He said, you know what this means? I'm not unlucky. He believes. God purposely made me this way. God made me this way to test me. To get me to inspire other people. To test my courage. That's what it means. He said it means I'm here to inspire the world. And the moment he saw himself as someone who is meant to inspire the world, he began to then focus on taking action. So what did he do? He began to have a vision of his life, to have goals. And he set 5 goals for himself. His first goal that he said, when I grow up, I want to become a millionaire. He said, I want to be a millionaire by the age of 30 years old. Can you imagine someone like him say, I want to be a millionaire with no arms and no legs? His second goal, he said, I want to go to the university to get a degree like everyone else. His third goal was to become a motivational speaker like AdamKhoo. Right? And his fourth goal was to write a book. Imagine writing a book without arms and legs. He writes a book with 2 toes, typing on the keyboard. And his last goal was to raise money for charity, to help people who are poor. And what's the amazing thing? By the age of 20, 26 years old, 28 years old, he has achieved every one of these goals. Today, Nick is a multi-millionaire. He's a multi-millionaire. How did he make his money? He's a property developer. He develops property. He's a stock investor. And he's a motivational speaker. He went to the university and got 2 degrees in finance and accounting. He's a motivational speaker. He has spoken to more than 3 million people in 30 countries. And he has written a book with 2 toes. And he has raised millions of dollars to build schools in poor countries. So let me ask you a question. Would you say he's successful? Would you say he's successful? Would you say he's successful? Yes or no? Yes.